week leading into a race can sometimes seem overwhelming and even complicated, with all sorts of final things needing to be done, and that's before we even think about our last few training sessions. So I always find it reassuring to have a go-to run workout that I knew would help me feel good on the approach into race day. So on that basis, I'm going to share with you 3 slightly different key run workouts that I would choose from to help me get primed in the lead into race day that you too can adapt for your final preparations. So before we get into the details of these 3 different workouts I would choose from, it's worth noting that in terms of total duration, I'd never do more than half an hour of running for this type of run session in race week. 10 to 15 minutes of nice easy jogging as a warm-up before we get into the particular main set that I'm going to discuss in a second. So on that note, the first of these options that I would choose from would be my fartlek option. Now, the particular fartlek that I used to like doing was the Mana Getty, named after famous Australian runner himself, Steve Mana Getty. So the idea behind the fartlek run session, or certainly as I was always taught it when I was younger, was that it would get you ready for the particular intensity of whatever race you have coming up, but without doing too much of that intensity that it would be tiring you out. So on that notion, the fartlek is one continuous run, but split up into effort versus recovery of 1-to-1 ratios in duration. So the specifics of the Mana Getty in itself are starting with a 90-second effort at your particular race intensity, then followed by 90 seconds of recovery, which could be a nice and easy jog, very easy to get yourself ready for the next effort in the Mana Getty, which is a 60-second effort at that same intensity that you started off at, followed by an equal 60 seconds recovery, and so that pattern continues. We then go to 45 of on, 45 of recovery off, 30 on, 30 off, and a final part of the Mana Getty is the 15 hard with 15 seconds recovery. So that in total, with your effort and your recovery, gives you 8 minutes of running in that fartlek fashion that just flows up and down in terms of intensity and recovery. And once I had completed that, I would then have repeated back into that 90 on, 90 off and so on to do 2 full sets to complete my Mana Getty fartlek. But of course, you could quite happily just do the 1 set, and that'd be a really good and sufficient primer for a fartlek type run session in race week. So my second session that I would look to choose from on my race week run session is what I'd call my tempo run. Now this is based on a kilometre rep in total. But don't worry if you don't have a running track nearby, because that's where I would usually have done it. Or indeed if you don't have a sports watch like one of these with GPS that can tell you how far you're going in a rep. You can still do this based on time, and I'll chat about that in a moment. But on the notion of that 1K, what I would do is 800 metres at my chosen race pace intensity, and then 200 metres nice and easy jog, giving that total of 1 kilometre. And then I would do that 3 times through, which I felt was just enough to give me the sensations of what I'd be expecting on race day at that intensity, but not too much that I'm starting to feel tired or fatigued from it. Or alternatively, I also sometimes chose to do the same session but at half the distances. So what I would do is 400 metres at that race pace intensity, and then 100 metres nice and easy jog recovery, and I'd probably do that 5 to 6 times through, giving me again the same sort of total as the 3 times a kilometre. But in terms of times, if you don't want to do this in distance, for me personally, I would have done that 800 metres as about 3 minutes of running and 1 minute of easy jog, so you could do the same and not worry about the distances as such. Alternatively, on that shorter option, you could do 90 seconds of running at your race pace and 30 seconds of jog recovery. So my third and final option for this race week run session is what I'd call my speed set. Now, there's nothing too fancy about this block of work. It's just something that allows the body to feel like it's working hard and then give it some recovery after. And the details of it are just 30 seconds of good effort that builds up to about your race pace. Doesn't have to be exact, but just something that feels like a good effort. 30 seconds easy. Do that 5 times through to give us 5 minutes of effort. You can have a minute of easy recovery and then repeat that whole set again to give 10 minutes of effort. Now I actually sometimes would repeat that through one final time, giving 15 minutes in total, but it's entirely up to you how you're feeling in the week. It's just a nice little primer set that gets the body moving, surges I suppose you could call them, just up to 30 seconds in total, and then that's you, finish up and have a nice easy cool down. So that's my list of 3 run sessions that I used to like choosing from on the week leading into a race, just to give the body an idea of those intensities that are about to come on the weekend, but not so much that you end up being too tired from it. And on that note, when would you maybe do these sessions? Well, we've talked quite a lot on the channel about run day Tuesday, and that's a good time to do these sessions. But Wednesday would work just as well, and even if you're short of time, well, Thursday morning isn't the end of the world, just so long as you're not doing it the very day before the race. Now, hopefully you find this video interesting and have enjoyed it. Please hit that thumb up like button if that's the case. Find the globe on the screen to click that subscribe and get all the other videos that we have on GTN. And if you want to see a video that we've done about fartlek running, you can find that here. And if you want to see one that Mark and I did about how to run a 5K faster, well, you can do that here.